Imagine yourself locked in a prison, knowing that you would be executed tomorrow. Would you be able to sleep? What would you think about? Would you try to escape? This is the situation that the Apostle Peter found himself in Acts chapter 12. Whoever thinks the Bible is boring obviously has not read this story. It's got everything in it. Adventure, murder, mystery, and even a little bit of comedy. The theme of the passage is trusting in God. No matter what happens in life, we are to trust and believe God. No matter what happens, we can know that God is sovereign and we can trust Him. In this chapter, the Apostle Peter goes through many transitions in a very short time. In the beginning of the chapter, he was a free man. Then he's arrested and finds himself in prison. Then he's let out of prison by an angel. And finally, at the end of the chapter, he's free again and begins to travel once again from place to place, preaching the gospel. And throughout all of this, we find that Peter is utterly dependent upon the prayers of believers. In the opening verses of this chapter, we see how Herod was persecuting Christians. Herod, like any good politician, wanted to please his constituents. He saw that killing James made them happy. So he thought, hey, let's kill Peter too. Herod enjoyed the fame. He enjoyed his authority. And he knew that the longer he kept the people happy, the longer he would rule over them. So he found Peter and arrested him. And everyone knew what would happen next. Notice the contrasting statement in verse 5. Peter was kept in prison, but earnest prayer for him was made to God by the church. If we just read the first half of this verse, we'd have a very bleak picture of the situation. We'd be sure that Peter would die, but the writer of Acts, he indicated with the simple word but, that there was hope for Peter. The disciples began to pray for Peter. The text says that they prayed earnestly, or without ceasing. This is not something new for the disciples. Over and over again in the book of Acts, we find the disciples of Jesus devoting themselves to prayer. This is the same kind of prayer that we're to engage in today. It's a privilege and responsibility that we're to devote ourselves to constantly. Yet few embrace this task. Why do you think this is? The prayer of the disciples broke the chains of Peter, freed him from prison, and allowed him to continue preaching the gospel. Do you believe in the power of prayer? Or rather, do you believe that the God that you pray to is powerful? Because this is what it really comes down to. If you believe that God is powerful and able to answer your prayer, and wants to answer your prayer, then you'll devote yourselves to prayer just as the disciples did. So trust that God is sovereign and pray. God bless you and see you tomorrow.